Social media is full of people who are bragging, and most of the time they're not really telling the truth. Here's my Lamborghini, here's my Rolex, I read 700 books last year, let's talk about them. Personally, I'm sick of that stuff. So today, I'm going to be super honest and talk about 4 books that I absolutely could not finish no matter how hard I tried. And one of these books might be pretty shocking, so let's get into it. Let's start with the first one, the Amityville Horror. In some ways, this book was the prototypical, based on a true story, horror event, and for one reason or another, I just simply could not get through it. This book spawned like 24 movies, and it's not particularly long. I think I read like 3 chapters, but it really just failed to grab me. Nothing about it seemed that interesting. The book even had some like diagrams and stuff, and I love pictures in books, so it really seemed like it should have grabbed me, but like I said, it really just didn't, so unfortunately, this is on my did not finish list. The second book I could not finish, no matter how hard I tried, is 100 Years of Solitude. This is considered by some people to be one of the best works of magical / mystical realism, and on a lot of like top 10 and top 25 books of all time lists. In fact, right here on the cover it says, the greatest novel in any language of the last 50 years, so a very highly praised book. But I found this book just to be so dense, and I had such a hard time keeping up with the 7 generations of names or whatnot, that after about a quarter of the way through, I just had to put it down. The opening sentence of the book is so beautiful, and when I was able to retain certain parts, I was like, wow, this is so wonderfully written. But more often than not, I found myself rereading and rereading and rereading and rereading and still not getting it. So unfortunately, that book just isn't for me. The third book, and this one is pretty easy, is A Brief History in Time by Stephen Hawking. The reason why I couldn't finish it is because I'm simply too stupid for it. There's a lot of math and physics and all that stuff, and he even made a point to use as few equations as possible to make it more digestible, but alas, it was still too much for my little brain. The fourth book, and this one may be shocking to some people because if you know me, you know I love this author, is Misery by Stephen King. For being completely honest, I just found it to be boring, and I know a lot of people love it. The isolation is great. Annie Wilkes is a phenomenal villain, but it just failed to grab me. And this might get me in some trouble, but I really loved the movie, so I think loving the movie so much affected me reading the book. I thought that loving the movie would make me like the book more, but in the movie, it's not so much internal monologuing and whatnot, so it's more just his actions, and I think that made it a lot easier to digest. Kathy Bates was so great in the movie too, so what wasn't there to love? But yeah, those are 4 books that I simply could not finish. Let me know some books that you couldn't finish down in the comment section below, and if you're interested in a part 2, please let me know, because there's lots I couldn't read. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to follow along for more book talk and bookstagram content.